Today we are going to talk about Alex Grinch, the recruiter, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Considering the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we're going to talk about Alex Grinch, the recruiter. If you are one of the Oklahoma fans who have been living under a rock, Alex Grinch is the new defensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And there are a lot of reasons to be excited about a guy like Alex Grinch coming to Oklahoma. He's young, he's hungry, he obviously wants to call his own defense at a big-time college football program. He's had stops at Missouri, Wyoming, Washington State, and here of late, Ohio State, which is where he's going to come from. And this is a big get for Lincoln Riley, not just because it's a name guy with the kind of scheme that seems like it could work in the Big 12, but he's also reverent of the Big 12, and he comes from being matched with an air raid coach, the air raid coach really, in Mike Leach, where he's used to the offense scoring at will and scoring a lot and putting a defense on the field that can keep pace. The thing that I like most about Alex Grinch and the 3-4 scheme that he brings has a one-gap scheme, an ability to be multiple, and that's what you can do when you're recruiting speed and you're trying to teach guys to be faster with the calls. And I think one of the things I love most is, hey, he's got one word that means a myriad of things to the defense. So he might say razor, and everybody on the defense knows what that means. Now, recruiting to this scheme seems to have worked for him because he got to Washington State, and he did good things there. Now, it's really difficult to recruit to a place like Washington State. I call it like recruiting to Kansas State or even West Virginia because you're surrounded by powers also, like Washington, like Oregon, and then all of the California schools you have to recruit against before you even think about Utah or Nevada and so forth. So it's really difficult to gauge how good he is at landing top-level recruits. But we know that he can recruit to his system and his scheme, and that's what every defensive coordinator is going to do. And sometimes it's going to work, Alabama. Sometimes it's not. See Mike Stoops in Oklahoma. But the pieces that he has, given the kind of personnel, but the scheme that he runs, given the personnel that Oklahoma has, I could see a lot of these guys playing a lot of the same positions, maybe even moving around. Maybe a guy like Kenneth Murray Jr. moves to outside linebacker. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But there really isn't a one name brand recruit that has been linked to Alex Grinch. Now, given the circumstances with Jordan Battle, I think he did a really good job. Jordan Battle was all set to go to Ohio State, and then Urban Meyer steps down, and Ryan Day becomes the guy. And you got some moving and shaking at defensive coordinator, obviously, and Jordan Battle did what was best for him. And I think if Alex Grinch would have stayed, Jordan Battle would have ended up at Ohio State, and that would have been Alex Grinch's really first good get, especially being a safeties guy, and Jordan Battle is a safety. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the kibosh on the Josh Proctor to Oklahoma rumors. I don't think that dude's coming to Oklahoma. I think he's very happy at Ohio State, and I think his situation is good for him. But is there a guy out there that Alex Grinch could go get? Well, there's always a guy. But at this point, it feels like you'd have to go into the junior college ranks to get a corner or a safety or a defensive tackle to really put his stamp on the kind of athlete he wants to get. But I don't necessarily think that he needs to do that. I know a lot of folks are like, yo, we want more defensive tackles. We want more frontline players. We want more guys in the trenches. Well, everybody does. This is the most difficult position to recruit in all of college football, defensive tackle, which is why you could sign a bevy of defensive ends and just one defensive tackle to this 2019 class. But the thing to watch about Alex Grinch going forward is who he offers in the 2020 class, who he runs lead dog on, and what those guys have to say about him. And I think with the recruiting apparatus at his disposal at Oklahoma, he can be trusted to do some really great things. Remember, Lincoln Riley's a guy who closed on a bunch of defensive recruits as an offensive guy and a head coach. Think if he'd have had Alex Grinch by his side to go in there on these home visits and go get guys. And I really expect this 2020 recruiting cycle to really pick up when we're talking about name brand, top level 2020 defensive back and defensive tackle recruits. You already got a couple in Jalen Huff and Darian Green-Warren on the defensive side of the ball. So building on what those guys are doing, specifically what they're able to do following signing day, is going to be big. It's going to be massive for Alex Grinch. And what I hear from the recruits and on the recruiting trail from other coaches that I trust he's a straight up guy, and that's the reason that folks like him. He's going to tell you where you stand as a prospect. He's going to tell you where you are in line. He's going to tell you, hey, perhaps you're the only guy that I'm going to recruit at this position, and you can depend on his word. And in recruiting, when a lot of guys aren't necessarily keeping their words, I think it's right that Lincoln Riley and this staff had hung their hat on being honest and open with everybody they recruit, especially the guys that are committed and signed, about what they can be asked to do, how they're going to be asked to do it, and who's going to be in the boat with them. And all these things point to Alex Grinch being not just a good hire for Oklahoma, but getting the defense back to the kind of OU defense that won a national championship in 2000, and from 2000 to 2004 could be counted on to be one of the best in the country. And we'll start to see that, I think, with the first big defensive tackle recruit that they get committed. That's going to tell you a lot. How soon that happens is anybody's guess, but there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about Alex Grinch as a recruiter. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.